it's just a thought worth mentioning.
Well, it's funny, Tots, because you brought up, the waddling parent.
Oh, yeah.
Last night I went to my kids' old school. They have this big thing every year called Battle for the Paddle, and my son graduated 2 years ago, so I haven't been in a while, but I went back because one of the ladies that works for us daughter's there, and I'm like, okay, I'll go and check it out. Bittersweet, but I'd love to support. But I noticed exactly that. Just if you were to compare apples with apples, is the health and obesity level of the kids and the parents exponential since I was there 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like just looking at it as a whole. And I know a big part of that was the pandemic
Right.
that created everybody staying at home, eating bad food, don't go outside, don't do, all the things that are healthy for you were sort of being prevented or frowned upon. And you could see it. It was kind of shocking to me. And so, we've got to like swing that pendulum back
Right.
the other way, like somehow, some
Right.
way, which I think we're all doing our effort to sort of lead from the front. And I know that's part of why I keep doing what I'm doing. It's become like a mission to outdo all that harm that has been done.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't believe. I've heard some great speeches with people talking about addiction, and there's a big majority of the addiction field believes that there needs to be some significant trauma to have occurred. Maybe our trauma is the way we're living our life today.
Yeah.
Maybe our
Right.
trauma is you sat in front of the TV all day and ate food. Maybe that's what's traumatic on our bodies.
Sure.
Maybe that's what's turning us towards addiction.
And not even just comedy, like just bad news
Nothing.
all
Yeah.
day,
Right.
nothing good, nothing
Right.
happy. So it's hitting you mentally,
Toxic.
physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toxicity.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect combination for addiction and unhealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's wild. Right. But yeah, I think it's important. Like I'm not passing any judgment.
Yeah.
I know there's like movements. There's about don't fat shame and all that sort of stuff. And I don't pass any judgments. And it's really, for some people, yeah, and to some degree it is about vanity, but ultimately it's about health, not vanity. And I like to point out to the clients, like, hey, look around you. In this gym, what do you see? And they give me a bunch of answers. Well, there's barbells, there's kettlebells. Oh, I see rigs. And I said, okay, well, what you do not see, there's no mirrors in here.
Yeah.
It's not about vanity. And I don't care, how big, small, what state you're currently in. What I like to see is I look at people's faces. I really like that, during the workouts, and like, are they struggling? Are they putting in effort?
Yeah.
And so it's not, I don't look for, the fastest guy or the strongest guy or girl or or the sexiest person in the gym. None of that matters. It's just about, I look at the faces and they go, this person is really busting their ass. And that's very inspiring. So it doesn't matter. It's not about where you're currently at in the journey. It's more about like where you're going. So it's like, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're not passing judgment on, no matter where you are at on your journey.
Yeah.
Not at all. Do you
Good point.
feel like, and this is completely theoretical because it's just an opinion, that the people that you see really putting in the effort in the gym, really working hard, really giving it all, do you think they do better in sobriety?
Yeah, I see a definite correlate between, and I don't know exactly what it is. I think a lot of it is like readiness.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just following the program. But yeah, there definitely is a correlate between, these guys are, some people, unfortunately go to yoga class and they just lay down
Yeah.
and sleep, and they take advantage of that time to do that, while other people, show up to CrossFit and, they just bust their ass. And yeah, there definitely
Buying
is.
in is how much.
Right.
How much are you going to buy in? to your
Exactly,
recovery.
exactly.
And you can see that like on their face, like you said.
Right,
You know, like,
right.
you want this.
You want it.
Not this workout.
Right.
You want this
Right.
bigger idea that we're trying to pass on to
Right.
you.
It's harder to see when people are doing like education. You know, you can't look at their face and go, "This guy,
Wants it.
he's really, you
Dude.
know, he's pushing with this, you know, reading. You know, like it's hard to see. With CrossFit, it's more visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've even seen that in the competitions that we do once a month. You can see, you know, the judges that just show up and they just want to, you know, judge other people. There's like, and then there's the athletes who are not always fit, but they want to give it their all, and they're going to come and they're going to push hard out of the gate, and sometimes they tap out, but it's like, but they came in and they wanted it and they worked hard for it, and
Right.
I appreciate that as well, as opposed to those that are like, I can't even get them to just duplicate hash marks. It's like, you know, how in this are you really?
Right. Yeah, and I could see like, okay, this person has a dark side. You know, this person has some heavy trauma, and they're really purging some demons in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, you could see that,
Right.
as opposed to this person, you know, has literally never experienced any hardship in their life, and they don't know what hardship is. You know, and you know, I don't know. Yeah, and then I just, you know, the best I could do is just pick it up, go. You know. Yeah.
Well, and that's the best advice, as opposed
Right.
to just staring at the bar and getting in your head
Right,
and let me
right.
think about it, let me catch my
Right.
breath. It's like, get back on the bar, just go, quit overthinking it.
Mhm.
And then there's just such a nice peace that comes with that, not
Right.
overthinking things, which I think
Yes.
is, you know, you got to learn as a recovering addict to not overthink everything and just do.
Right, and that's the therapy, is like, you know, some people do well with very, very intense workouts,
Yeah.
that are so intense that you don't have room to think.
Right.
You know, you don't think about anything. You just think about surviving and getting through,
Mhm.
as opposed to, you know, you could do bicep curls. You know, you could do you know.
Running on a treadmill.
Yes, that's, you're just pumping out eight curls, and then you're resting. And you're thinking about, you know,
Right.
all kinds of things. That's not as therapeutic.
No.
Looking
I
at
agree.
how your muscle looks in the mirror as you're doing that curl.
Right. It's like it didn't get bigger on one session. You know?
Straight feeding into a mechanism that can be very negative. Yeah.
Right.
Being too focused on your appearance,
Mhm.
yourself, not using that as that's your focus when you're doing one of these hard, you know, CrossFit style workouts. You're not thinking about how's my body going to look after this.
Right.
Or how does
You're
it look
like-
during it?
Yeah, or how does
Right.
it look during it?
Yeah.
You are thinking about how am I gonna make it through this alive, you know?
Right,
Which is
and then
awesome.
right, and occasionally someone would take a picture or video, and you're like, I look like that. Like
Yeah.
I look like I'm making that face during a workout. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen mine where I'm just beat red. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I look like that every time I'm working out. Thank God there's no
Yeah.
mirrors in here.
Right.
I
Right.
think
Right.
it's super good to have that, like a workout a couple times a week where you're a little scared of like hitting like where your limit is, like pushing yourself so hard, like
Right.
that fear element. I think
Right.
that's
Sure.
really, really good.
It's outside of your comfort zone.
Outside of your comfort
Right.
zone. And
Right.
It could be like simulating being chased by something dangerous.
Saber-tooth.
You know, a saber tooth.
Right. Right. I think like growth, a lot of growth, no matter, you know, physically or in fitness or mentally, emotionally. I think a lot of growth is outside of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
You know, you push the boundaries of your comfort zone, and your comfort zone grows, and that's like self-growth, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's why I started doing that cold plunge. I hate the cold. Like, that is the last thing on the planet I want to do. But the benefits, health-wise and comfort zone-wise, are phenomenal. But it's an interesting place to self-induce you into something that you absolutely hate, but then feel good about it afterwards.
Yeah,
So it's such a strange phenomena, but
the cold plunge is
it's something else.
it's something else.
It's something
Yeah.
else.
I mean, I do cold showers.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I find that to be beneficial. And I mean, as far as, you know, for anyone listening who doesn't know, some of the reasons why you take a cold shower.
Or a cold plunge.
You know, or a cold plunge. I mean, there's definitely, anti-inflammation response, to a certain degree. But there's also the thermogenic response where your body has to start to heat itself up, and so you actually start to burn more calories, which, in order to do that, your body has to produce more energy, and so you end up kind of, it's kind of a no-brainer. You go in the cold water and boom, you're awake, right? But the benefits and the systems behind that process actually happening are all greatly related towards, improving, yourself as it relates to health. So.
Well, and there's a whole thing about the brown fat, yellow fat.
The brown adipose, and yeah.
Well,
Activating
I don't feel like I have that information down.
That's why I was quiet. I was like, who's going to talk about that? Because
Well, supposedly, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's this brown adipose tissue, this brown
Right.
fat tissue, like behind, above and behind your
back.
around the back of your neck or something
Yeah.
like that. Now, I'm not an expert, so people can fact check me or whatever. I don't want to take full responsibility for what I say. But that's apparently how, like, animals stay warm in the cold. Animals don't wear clothes. And they don't have...
some of them wear a fur coat.
Yeah, well, that's true, but so the brown adipose tissue, infants are born with it, newborns, but by the time they are a certain age, they don't have that brown fat anymore. But what it does apparently is it helps to burn I guess it's white fat, the regular fat.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to burn that.
Right.
Thermogenesis. They burn that fat to stay warm, and that's why like bears, right? That bears eat berries
Mm-hmm.
when berries are in season, late summer and fall, and the glucose
Right.
apparently triggers the fat storage mechanism.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And all through winter, the bear activates this brown fat tissue to burn the white fat for calories and heat, whereas humans have lost that ability. So cold plunges, and cold showers, cold exposure, that is a way supposedly to help with that process.
It's amazing.
I guess there's research on it. I mean, personally, I do the cold showers. I've done a few cold plunges. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't have this brown. I don't think I have a ton of brown adipose tissue behind the back of my head where I could burn off fat. I'm also not, I don't have very much fat to burn, but I think I'm also an island person genetically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from, closer to the equator.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like lighter skinned people are further from the equator.
Yeah.
They're like more Nordic where it's cold, and like Angie, she has like Viking blood, and she
But it
naturally
doesn't make
does
it
well in
better.
the cold.
I do not do well in the cold. This is very
That's true.
self-induced.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm very Americanized,
Yeah.
for sure. But also, there's the whole Wim Hof method that plays
Right.
very nicely into this, which, once again, coming full circle, it's back to the breath.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's how we can get ourselves through immersing ourselves in these very uncomfortable situations, is certain techniques of breathing and that sort of thing.
Tapping in, right?
Tapping in and getting through.
Yeah.
Which I've tried that. When you came over, we tried that.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
In this whole, health journey thing, I think, something that I wish I had in my backyard that I don't have anymore is the ocean. With just because that, here in Santa Cruz, the ocean is freaking cold. It's cold
Yes.
enough
Oh yeah.
to give you these
Yes.
cold benefits.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
And
It
then,
doesn't feel that cold to me anymore.
well, get all the way in.
That's true.
Not just
That's
dip
true.
your
I'm
feet
just
in.
going in. Okay, not my
Yeah.
feet. I go up to my thighs, but yes.
And and then just connecting with the earth too,
Right.
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and that giant ancient body of water.
Yep.
Right.
Like those things, like that. When I came into town, I really wanted to jump in and
Yeah.
You know, I really think, yeah, that's something. Yeah. So if you got an ocean nearby, anyone listening,
Yep.
try to jump in that thing more. You know, I
Right.
think it's really good for us
Love
in
it.
so many different levels.
Yeah.
Right.
One of my favorite things to do is to go down there, take off my shoes with the dogs, with the weight vest, and go through the surf, just like in the water, in the sand, earthing all the way, and immersing in the ocean.
Yeah.
There is nothing like that. For me, it instantly puts me into a place of gratitude. Like, what am I grateful for? Jeez, look around me. Like, this is amazing. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is why we pay so much to live here. This is why we go through what we go through to be in California. This is why. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be swimming in Pinecrest Lake this summer.
Oh,
I'll send
nice.
you guys pictures.
Yeah.
It's as close as
Hey,
I can
there's
get.
there's got a bunch of lakes. You guys have a bunch of lakes out there.
Yeah.
Do they warm up because of the higher altitude?
It gets pretty cold in the evenings. I mean, they definitely warm up. But
Yeah.
Not,
I'll let
not
you
a
know.
ton.
I'll let you know off first-hand experience.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
Tahoe does not warm up.
Ever.
No, that's
It's like
Not
3
not
degrees,
water.
3 or
Water's
4
cold.
degrees all year. It changes. That's about it.
wow.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, that's a good cold immersion. And you're right, Tots. Maybe I'm more prone to that because I grew up in Reno
Oh.
and we would go to Tahoe. And,
Yep.
it would get very hot up there because of the elevation, and so you would constantly be putting yourself in that ice cold water, even in the middle of summer.
You watch kids. You know, if you watch kids, they will stay in the water forever,
Yeah,
yeah.
right? No matter how cold it is,
yeah.
you know.
And they're shivering,
Right.
and you're like,
yeah.
get out.
Right. But maybe it's something, you know, more innate and instinctual, you know.
Yeah.
Something that's encoded in their DNA or something, you know.
Yeah. Just to bear it.
Right, and
then
they
over
love
time-
it. They have a blast, you know. They don't care about the cold, how
They
cold the
don't.
water is.
And
So-
over time, with our ability to control temperature and our comfort, we fall into this.
Right,
Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to get cold.
right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're like
The comfort
we're
crisis.
not as happy as, you know, as children. We're not having as much fun as children, but we're more comfortable. You know,
Yeah.
we stay in this like
Zone.
as a comfort zone.
1,000%. I mean, you know, as kids, we tried to sneak out the door without our mom making us put on our jacket. And then the second we get out the door, for me, you know, growing up in Reno, again, there was snow. I'd hide my jacket. I did not want to wear a jacket.
Right.
And you're right. Felt totally comfortable not doing so.
Right. So maybe short of child endangerment, maybe we should let our kids, you know, be a little bit freer.
But isn't
Yeah,
that
right,
true, though?
yeah.
There's that, like, overbearing, motherly, like, oh, wear your jacket so you don't get a cold. Oh, if you do that, you're going to
Yeah.
get sick.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you know, they're like almost planting these little subliminal things in your head that, oh, if I don't wear a jacket, I'm going to get a cold. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think
I'm
as
going-
parents, it's very important for us to sort of, like, not
Right.
put that in their
Right.
universe.
I'm going through that battle with my wife with the
Yeah.
sunscreen.
Yeah.
No, like we'll wait like 30 minutes before we
Mhm.
put a sunscreen
Yeah.
on them, and then that is such, like, those chemicals are so terrible,
Dude.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
I
And
can't
that's
wait
a no-win
till-
situation.
yeah.
It's either radiation or chemicals. Which one do
Yeah.
you want?
I can't wait till Paul Saladino comes out with his sunscreen. He actually posted something on Instagram today. You know, he does a lot of these, like, he's the carnivore MD.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so he does a lot of these Instagram videos, like, is this BS or not? You know, and so the one today was sunscreen. You know, of course, he says total BS, and
Yeah.
he gives, you know, the reasons why. You know, basically a lot of those chemicals they seep in through your skin and they get in your bloodstream, and your body has to process them, and, you know, and excrete them.
Right.
So total BS for him. And
Right.
so he also mentioned that he was going to come out with his, you know, an animal-based kind of sunscreen with using animal fat as a protective layer,
Right.
and something else too. But
You can
anyways,
make it. It's coconut oil, which we
Mhm.
all know and love, with like essential oils, like
Yeah.
lavender and something else, and it actually creates a natural sunscreen.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so pale. Like, I have used that, but I think, you know, I'm still pretty pale, and a first burn, it hurts.
Right. It's the
Yeah.
shock, though, right? It's because,
Yeah.
again, it's because we're indoors all day, which is
Too
not
much.
natural. And then, you know, you go out in the sun and spend a whole entire day in the sun,
right,
as
on a
opposed to
vacation.
acclimating. You know,
Mhm.
same with like working out. Like
Yeah.
you know, you don't go full in 7 days. You know, like all out. You're gonna, you know,
That's
hurt
a-
yourself. You're gonna damage your joints, right?
That's
You-
a really good point. I didn't
Right,
think
right.
about it
So
like
you
that,
have to,
yeah.
you know, acclimate. Like you have to maybe go in the sun a little bit.
Ease
You know,
into it.
recover, and you know.
We shouldn't
It's the
even.
same thing.
You shouldn't even have to acclimate to the sun.
No,
right.
right.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It's crazy.
You should be getting outside.
Right.
Getting sun on your skin every day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there, you know, like here, we have winter, and it is overcast, so it can be difficult to always get that sun through those months.
You still can, you know,
Get sun
They-
through the clouds.
yeah, sun through the clouds. Absolutely. I mean, when I was growing up, those were the days that you wanted to make sure you had sunscreen on. Those were the days that they warned you about,
Right.
Where you got really burnt. You know, a lot of the bad rays coming through.
Bad rays.
Yeah.
But were they?
Yeah. You know,
Were they bad rays?
I don't know.
Exactly. All right, so I know we've had an amazing podcast. Any final things you guys are doing in your life that you found to be an amazing hack? Might be a bit unusual, but it's part of your daily routine as far as like overall health and fitness these days?
Let me think about it. An amazing hack.
Or a hack. So, for example, well, I've already talked about the Whoop, the watch, the glucose meter, but we haven't talked about, and we're all wearing them, our Vivo shoes. The
Mhm.
flat foot technology. And Tots, you were the first one that started this little craze amongst us.
Mhm.
Can you tell us about that a bit?
Yeah. We're not sponsored by them either.
But we should be.
Right.
I'm just gonna keep throwing that out. All
Right.
these people should be sponsoring us.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've had foot pain. I've been having foot pain. And you know, again, going back to the idea of like what's natural versus not. You know, what our bodies are intended for and adapted for and not. You know, like especially after like heavy workouts and all throughout the day. You know, you know, even if we're sitting all day, I don't know, my feet hurt, and I started seeing all these things about foot health, you know, and this is just another. It's also a trend too, how, you know, a trend. I guess it's more awareness about foot health, how our shoes look nothing like our feet,
Right.
you know. So anyway, these barefoot shoes simulate being barefoot, which is you know, we're born barefoot,
We
and it's
evolved to
right. It's a more natural state, and yeah, even my kids, as soon as they get home, they're taking off their shoes, you know,
Yeah.
and they're running around barefoot outside and everything like that.
That's super good.
Yeah, but yeah, and then you know I saw these things about the women with the heels,
Oh, it's the worst.
with, you know, with these shoes and their toes,
Yeah.
they end up looking like cones. You know, their toes look
Mhm.
like cones.
Yeah, it's literally like old school binding.
right, like
it's
the Chinese
so
foot
bad.
binding.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, these barefoot shoes, they have very thin soles, and they have wide toe boxes so your toes can expand. And what do they say? Like in their ad, and we're not sponsored by them, they say like, you know, after 3 months of wearing them, your foot strength increases like by 40% or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love them, and I've noticed a big change from wearing them. And you know, something that made me realize that there's something off about my body, and it was, you know, I was doing a ROM WOD, which is a range of motion workout of the day, and it's a stretching type yoga flow routine that you do, and it's marketed towards CrossFitters. So anyways,
Also not sponsored by them.
also not
Yeah.
yeah, at the end of the session, you know, you have this period where you just lay on the ground, and in doing so, in laying on the ground, I noticed that I just had a difficult time just laying flat on the ground. Like my body felt off, and my hips, my low back felt strange, and it started to make me, you know, think, like, yeah, like something's wrong. Something's not right here, and I don't, I maybe through TOTS or something I found online. I started to kind of look into this barefoot shoe thing and the science behind it, and for me, I was having some lower back pain. It was throwing out my back, and there was definitely times that I tweaked my low back doing a workout or doing a lift wrong, and I'd be out for like 5-6 days, couldn't lift or anything, and so I've been wearing these shoes for about 90 days, and I really think it's made a big difference. Like when I lay flat on the ground, I don't feel awkward. I don't feel like something's off or like I'm straining to lay flat. That just doesn't happen anymore. And I also notice a visible difference in my foot. Like my feet looked kind of weird before I started wearing these shoes, and now I feel as though they look more natural. They're stronger, and so that's definitely a great hack. But if I was to give a number one hack for just longevity for life, for anything, I would just have to say it's fasting, like intermittent fasting. For me, that's been really big as far as cognitively, as far as a lot of people think if you don't eat you're going to lose muscle. You don't. It's actually you preserve muscle, and you tap into losing your fat, so you become metabolically flexible. You really lean into that fat burning, and I usually do my workouts in the morning, so doing workouts fasted. So those things have all given me some serious benefits that I think are worth mentioning as my number one hack.
Love that. Well, first, I'm going to concur with the flat shoes, because I had flat feet my entire life, and I always felt like that was a disadvantage because there's no like natural absorber when I jump or when I do things. And then couple that with having to wear heels for so many years, and your just toes are crunched in there. And in recent years, I started wearing Nobles, and I liked them because they were wider. Nikes are very narrow. Those were like the first CrossFit shoes. They were very narrow, or Vans or any of these shoes. I was like, they look cool, so I'm like squishing my feet into them, but they did not feel good. So I had back off on the barefoot shoes because the toes, they just look weird. Like I'm not going to be sporting those around, but these ones, they look like normal shoes, and I feel like same thing. Like at first they kind of hurt my feet to be walking around like that all the time, but now I feel like my foot strength is so much better. And same thing. I mean, I just love it. I don't know how I go back from this at this point, because it just seems like it just feels right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say my number one hack, 75 hard. This is my second time doing it. I finished it once. I did phase 1. I failed a couple times in the last almost 2 years. I've been on it the majority of the time, but it has completely changed my life as far as the consistency and discipline and working out twice a day, reading, all that good stuff that goes with it. So I love it. I recommend the program for anyone. For me, it's gotten to a point where I don't want to call it easy, because that's complacent and kind of being an asshole to people that it's not easy for. But I find comfort in it because I get so much dopamine from completing all the tasks. And again, it's just that forced consistency. You're not allowed cheat days. You're not allowed a bad day. You're not allowed to take a day off. You just go, and wow, it shows you how much we're actually capable of.
Yeah,
Nice. Awesome.
nice. Yeah, I would say, I think we did not mention, they say sitting is the new smoking.
Oh.
Right? So a lot of people have standing desks and things like that, and I don't think anyone's expected to stand all day. But sitting, it shortens the frontal chain, right? And it lengthens the posterior chain of your muscles, and where it causes us to hunch our heads forward and hunch forward and have terrible postures, and I think that influences our neurochemistry, right? Because if you are hunched forward, right, that's a posture of being defeated, right? Whereas we're not actually defeated, But anyway, I think it's extremely important to stand often, in ratio with sitting. I think, staying active throughout the day. I don't think it makes sense to get a, 1 hour or 2 hour workout in and then go back to the couch. I don't think that makes sense because you're trying to burn more calories than you're intaking, right? So it's counterproductive to, burn calories at the gym and then not throughout the day, right? To take all these shortcuts and, to be perpetually comfortable throughout the day. But yeah, I'm really, my step now is just being, standing a little bit more during the day, walking and moving around more during the day, not just getting one workout in, but, even, getting in the gym at lunch, going for, several walks a day, maybe even going for, a short run in the middle of the day, just staying active throughout the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, just, proving to ourselves over and over how much more we're capable of than, for me, than I thought I was capable of. And I kind of love that. And I think we're all capable of that if we just put ourselves through these tests to show ourselves how much we actually can do and should do.
Right. Yeah, I think that's extremely important. It's just like, we believe in people, that they are more capable than they, think they are, right? And, that we want people to grow and not just sit in their comfort zone,
Right.
Great.
Good point, man.
Well, this was an amazing podcast. I feel like we could probably go another 2 hours. Unfortunately, we're already running late to the other things we have to do. But we'll definitely do a part 2. So I want to thank our listeners for tuning in and listening to all the stuff. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. Say bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I know.
Thank you.
I got to figure out that whole wrap-up thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good job. Let's just get one picture, and then I know you got Max up there you got to meet.
Has he texted you or anything?
I mean, I don't know. I've been... Should
like
be...
11.
Oh, good. His flight got delayed.
Oh, really?
I mean, not good. That sucks for him,
That's
but...
what I tell ya.
Well,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you give him your
Yeah.
ETA then?
I don't know.
fine.
Let's just take a
It's
picture.
fine.